What is going on with the real estate market? Well, guys, we're going to find out today. I am here with my exciting, amazing, awesome business partner, Josh.gullick. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Great to see you, buddy.
Always a pleasure. I mean, he runs such a first-class business. We've been doing a lot of business together, and I'm super excited to hear what's going on with the market. But for our audience, they probably don't know you too well. Let's get a little bit of backstory about Josh and some cross-country, the secret sauce, I guess, with Josh and CrossCountry Mortgage.
Yeah, so CrossCountry, I've been here since December of 24. So I made a move. I was with another company, great company, that actually CrossCountry just happened to acquire about a week ago. So coincidentally, but when I met one of the division leaders, he was my coach in a coaching program that I was part of before the coaching program I'm in right now. And I mean, everything that they had to offer, all of the technology, all of the loan products, it just called to me in a way that I knew that there was more business that we could be doing with the same amount of effort, or at least if we put more effort in, we could scale our business to the next level. So at the time, I was running a smaller pod. We were doing good business. I was doing around $50 million in loan volume myself. The team was doing collectively about 100. Then when we moved over here, we've just been scaling exponentially over the last couple of years. So last year, the whole team, we did a little over, or just under actually, 220 million in loan volume.
Congrats.
Thanks. It was actually a record year. I personally did about 100, or just over 108 million in personal loan volume. And I'm working the same amount, which is probably way too much, but at least I still have that face-to-face interaction with clients. I still meet with them multiple times throughout the process. And I probably always will be, just very big on education. So when it comes to knowing exactly what to expect, I want to make sure that as a first-time home buyer or multiple property home buyer, as an investor, I don't care what you're doing or why you're buying, but I want to make sure that you're never seeing anything for the first time when you're in contract. So if I do my job correctly, you're never going to be surprised. If my team's doing their job correctly, you're never going to be out of the loop, and neither is anybody at any part of the transaction, whether it be title and escrow, the listing agent, buyer. Everybody is on the same page where if somebody has to call us and ask us what's going on with the loan, we filled it our job. So that's the service we like to provide. We've done it very well. We close on time, we close smoothly, just like everybody else should absolutely do. What I think we do that goes above and beyond what a lot of other loan officers do is the one-on-one hand-holding, I would say concierge type of experience. If you call us, if you don't get an immediate answer, you're going to get a call back within 5 minutes. If you email us, if you don't get a call back or a response back in 24 hours, I'm having a talk with my team the next morning. So nobody's ever left in the dark, fully educated. What we promise up front is what we deliver at the very end. And we've just been able to do that. CrossCountry has been a huge part of that with all the loan products, technology, and everything else that Ron, my divisional leader, JJ Mazzo, and just a lot of my coaches have helped us scale, grow, and hopefully continue to.
I love it. I mean, folks, this is exactly why I try to surround myself with the best of the best as well, because each team member, if you're in real estate, is a reflection of you. And Josh's service is incredible. He said a bunch there, so I'm going to unpack a little bit out there. And guys, keep watching, subscribing, because you're going to see more of Josh. If you haven't seen the other video, take a look at the other video as well, because we talked about DSCR loans. I'm going to unpack that because, there's reasons why people divorce. Like if your husband, wife, spouse and spouse, you're married. I noticed that one of the biggest reasons why they divorce is because of miscommunication.
Absolutely.
And what Josh said there just now is hey, if we're not responding in 5 minutes, the team's going to hear from Josh, and he's on top of it. What does that really mean to a new client, especially a first-time home buyer?
Yeah. So I would say, a more formalized process than most would be, or most would have. I actually require people to meet with me multiple times before they actually purchase. So yes, occasionally we'll get somebody that's already in contract, or we'll do a save a deal. Somebody will contact me, like a listing agent I work with, and they're like, this deal's going sideways, can you fix it? Or I did a cross qualification on somebody and I know that loan can get done, but things start moving sideways. There are situations where I'll just tell the loan officer how to overcome whatever the issue is, if they are comfortable enough sharing with me what that is. I don't necessarily need to take that deal. My job is to make sure that loan gets across the finish line. And if you're 15 days into a 21-day escrow, I'm not trying to step in and take that loan. But along those same lines, if they're not doing the job correctly up front, I'm not super confident that they're going to take it across the finish line. So yeah, I'll take that over. But in terms of communication with first-time homebuyers, I set the expectation up front that we're going to meet on Zoom or in person at least once, because a big part of my presentation is done through some visual aids that I have that just make things more easy to follow, more salient. So I tell them up front, hey, this first initial call, we're going to gather some information about income, credit, assets, down payment. We'll talk about particular loan types so that I can ask you for all the documentation we're going to need. And on the next call, I'm going to be able to tell you basically what the government says you can afford, and that's going to be your purchasing power. That's what everybody wants to know. Now, what the government says you can afford and what you feel comfortable affording on a monthly basis, those are likely two different numbers. Now, me, you, 10 clients, and 100 other people, we can all have the same income, but we're going to have a different number in our heads of what we consider affordable. So on that next call, if we're going outside of the budget parameters, because sometimes I'll always ask, hey, do you have a target payment in mind? Now, that payment may be reasonable, maybe not. I'm not making judgment, but on the next call, if we're outside of your parameters, then we're going to talk about budget, and that's something else that we would provide. We help people with a personal family budget to see where things can get cut. I'll look over your income, look over your tax returns, try to predict what you're based, mathematically, but I'll get an estimate of what you could save in taxes by owning a home rather than itemizing, and then you may be able to adjust your W-4 withholding so that you're taking more money home each month, that kind of thing. So that next call, though, we're also talking about interest rates, what drives them. So that's my background. My degree was in economics. I follow macroeconomics more than most loan officers I know. So everybody comes to me. I got people from different companies that still reach out to me every week asking me what's going on. A lot of the times it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And I know what's going on. I'm hearing what's going on in Iran, but I don't know what's going to happen. A drone strike here, something else there before it happens. So it's very unpredictable market that we're in right now. But in a normal market, I can usually get a good idea of where things are going in the very short term. And in the longer term, the midterm is where most of the world is guessing. But at least when we have that second call and I'm explaining what drives interest rates, my clients know what to dispel as myth, what to identify as clickbait, and what probably warrants a call to Josh to figure out what does this mean in layman's terms. But I can tell you that process is about, I would say, around roughly 2 hours on average over the course of 2 calls. The last call, I tell them if you're looking to purchase in the next 30 to 60 days, then I'm going to combine the last call with the second call. That last call is just fully processed. So step A through Z, what's an earnest money deposit, what are contingency dates, what is title insurance, what's an escrow company, all of the terminology, a lot of the industry jargon that we take for granted, because I can't tell you how many times I hear people in this industry, even my own team, and we try to do what we can to avoid it, but just saying DTI, LTV, ABC, LMNOP, whatever it is, people don't understand that. It's not part of the normal lexicon for most people. So I make sure that you know exactly what each step of the process is going to look like so that you can anticipate everything up front. So
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's 2.5 hours, but I've never had somebody say that they wish they hadn't spent that time. Everybody's happy that they actually spent time learning, and everybody's extremely grateful.
Yeah, I kind of use the same phrase. First you learn, then you earn. The stuff you're going to be earning in real estate as a consumer is equity, and more property is the way I kind of look at it. So I think it's really critical that Josh's service is right on top of VIP, rolling out the red carpet. But I love the part where you bring in education and really educating the first-time home buyer, the consumer, the person that's looking to refinance, what have you, is now the right time. Speaking of is now the right time, let's talk about the market. I mean, there's some people would say there's volatility, and I coach all over the country, and I see like where there's some adversity, there's opportunity. I mean, I was talking to one of my coaching clients the other day, and she was saying like, oh my God, Joe, I don't know what happened, but it seems like there's something fishy going on with the market. So I typed it up, I went onto my software, and lo and behold, she was right. I mean, I was like, whoa, her market has it shifted into a distressed market.
Oh, wow.
And so I looked at her market, and then I looked at our market here in San Diego, and in San Diego, we're not there. So I saw the stats. Yeah, there's foreclosures here and there, but not as bad as like Indiana. And this was recent that I looked in Indiana. Then I've known property in Las Vegas, and I went there too. And guess what kind of market they're having, Josh?
Boom. I don't know.
Depends. If you're a buyer or investor, guys, that is the play right now in Las Vegas because it is a distressed market. Okay. So I look very closely, and like I said, if you're a buyer or investor, it's go time. It is really go time because that's when you could get the deals, and not to like disrespect Vegas or what's going on in there. I love Vegas. I'd love to buy eventually again in that market because it's just entertainment capital of the world. So here in San Diego, let's talk about San Diego because I want my team and myself to serve more buyers, more sellers, maybe downsize. I've been around 30 years as a real estate broker. If I wanted to serve that clientele, looking at the market, what would you best recommend for a buyer or investor?
Well, San Diego, California, Southern California, the reason we buy here is to build equity, to build wealth through appreciation. So if you're looking to purchase an investment property and you're looking very short term and you're looking, what's my cash on cash return? Am I going to make money on this rental? The answer is probably no, like not immediately. So I was just talking to a client just before we stepped in here, but I don't really know what rents are right now. I kind of see it, but it's just not on my radar. Just like I kind of don't know what home prices are necessarily because I've got professionals that like you that I can just ask. So why keep up with it when I can just pick up the phone and call Joe. So we were just talking about rents, and I remember the last time I rented was in 2012, I think, or maybe 2011. But I lived at the Grand North. I don't know if you know that downtown.
Yeah.
I was on the 20th floor overlooking the water. Like
The Grand?
Yeah. So,
I owned a property there.
oh, did you?
A long time ago.
Yeah, amazing building.
Kind of by Little Italy, right?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
right on Pacific Highway.
That's another story, guys.
But it's like a sweet place. It was all glass overlooking the water, 1,600 square feet, and I was paying $3,500 a month, and that was
That's
insane.
a deal.
Well, it is now. Back then, everybody's like, "How are you paying $3,500? Why are you wasting money on rent?" But now that's just a normal house. I mean, that's not even anything spectacular. So rents go up, prices go up, and that's the reason that we buy in Southern California again is to build wealth through appreciation and leverage. So if you're buying a house cash and the value goes up, 5%, you made 5%. But what if you only put down 5% on that value? That gets leveraged into a much bigger investment. So like when I put money, let's say in the stock market, I got, let's say I'm putting $50,000 into the stock market, and that grows and compounds over time. And let's say you're trying to match the S&P 500, which is kind of the benchmark that pretty much every trader looks at. But if you look at the last 60 years, average that out to about 11% per year on average. So my money's going to grow and compound over time. And if you look after about 10 years at a 10% rate of return, kind of including commissions and everything else, you're going to walk away with somewhere right around $85,000 in additional returns on top of your initial $50,000 investment. Well, let's say I took that same $50,000, I put that down on a $500,000 house, so 10% down on a $500,000 house. Well, let's say the appreciation rate's half of that. It's 5%. Well, over time, let's say like 5%, it's half the rate of return that we're using the same example, but over the same 10-year period, I would get back my initial $50,000 investment, but I would walk away with $383,000. Now again, oversimplification, I have things that we sell, and I have a whole presentation that goes over every single factor involved. But the difference between that, $85,000 and $383,000 return is leverage. Because when I put my money in the stock market, it's going to grow and compound. When I put that $50,000 down on a $500,000 house, it's not that $50,000 that grows, it's that $500,000 that grows and compounds. Now I make all that difference. So I'm sure you've heard that expression, it takes money to make money, right? I'd rather use the bank's money to make money.
I agree.
So
I totally agree with you, Josh. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, I totally agree with everything you just said there, because folks, if you are buying for cash flow as an investor, I mean, the cap rates are kind of compressed right now. So even multifamily, commercial, you're not really buying so much for that cash flow. I mean, some of my really, really ultra wealthy friends are buying on negative cash flow because they need the write-offs.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's that kind of play, depending who you are. You invest over time here in San Diego, the appreciation is incredible. If you wanted like more steady cash flows in probably the Midwest, something like that, but there's like little to no appreciation sometimes in those states.
And that's something I've always looked at too, and I've got a lot of clients like that. But as a mortgage banker, brokers are treated a little bit different. They're paid 1099 most of the time. I'm W-2, so I pay a lot of money in taxes, and I have very little to protect me from or to mitigate some of those taxes, other than personal deductions, mortgage interest on my primary residence, property taxes, and that's a little limited. So one of the things that people are doing right now that don't qualify as mortgage professionals, which for some reason loan officers aren't, buying an Airbnb or short-term rental. So let's say I buy a short-term rental, do a cost segregation study, and I know we can talk more about that later, but do a cost segregation study to accelerate depreciation on certain assets, I can get a huge deduction that I can actually take against my W-2 income. So I don't care if that property cash flow is negative for a little bit. If it's cash flowing negative $1,000 a month, but I'm getting $200,000 in write-offs, which saves me $100,000 in income tax, I can run that for 100 months negative and I'm still better off. So thinking differently about money is what I try to get my clients to do. I mean, I can't tell you how many clients are like, I've got this amount in savings, and I want to use 100% of my savings to put down on this property, closing cost, but then they've got $150,000 in their 401k. And I start talking about the 401k, and they're like, no, that's my retirement money. I don't want to touch that. But I encourage them to think of investments differently. So you're moving. It's not like you're taking that money out of your 401k. Well, if you take the money out of your 401k, first of all, it's a loan. You're paying yourself back interest. There's no tax liability or tax consequence by borrowing against it. But it's not like you're taking that money out and buying a depreciating asset like a vehicle. You're not taking it and investing
A Bentley.
John, calling you out, buddy. Just kidding. He pays for cash. He pays cash. But yeah, you're not investing in experiences. You're just moving investments on your balance sheet.
You're reallocating.
You're moving around same investments on different part of your balance sheet. So if I take, and the rule is you can generally borrow up to 50% of the vested balance up to a maximum of $50,000. If I take $50,000 out of that, and I can leave another $30,000 in checking or savings, I feel a lot more comfortable doing that, knowing that eventually I'm going to pay this back. I did the same thing. First house I bought, I barely had any money for the down payment. I pulled most of that out of my 401k. When I bought that place for 533, sold it for 617 about 2.5 years later, took the equity back out of that, used that to purchase my next house, but I also paid back that loan, my 401k loan, bought the next house for 950, sold it for 1.25, took that equity, because all of these were tax-free gains, because if you're married, $500,000 cap gain exclusion for if you live in the property for 2 out of the last 5 years. Singles, $250,000, and then I bought my house I'm in right now for 1.63 in 2018. It's worth 3.6 now. And boom! But also, I didn't need that much money just tied up in equity necessarily. So I had the opportunity when rates came down. I could have saved about $900 on my monthly payment. But instead of saving $900, I just saved $90. So my payment still went down, but I pulled $350,000 out of that equity. So I still saved $90, but took $350,000 out, put that in the stock market. It's getting crushed today, but I'm not touching it. It's going to stay in there, but it's about $550,000 now, and I'm still paying less than I did before that. I mean, I consider that almost free money.
Nice.
So that's just thinking about money differently is my goal. I want to get clients, because I grew up, without anything. Nobody I knew had any investments. Nobody I knew owned any houses.
You don't have a Porsche 17 or anything?
No, I had a sweet 86 Toyota Celica that I bought for, I saved up $1,300, and it was nicknamed the Roach, but it got me from A to B.
Another video, guys.
It did look kind of like a cockroach, but it got me from A to B. But, even, getting a degree in economics, going to college, there are no classes that really teach you any of this. So I learned from mentors, coaches, and just, surrounding myself with people like you and other people that do very well, because you start sharing things. And I know a lot of people are afraid or feel embarrassed talking about money. And we most have a mutual buddy, Dan Fleischman, who has actually a Money Mondays podcast where he talks about money, or how to make money, how to save money, and how to invest money. But it's unfortunate that it's so taboo to talk about it. But when I get people in front of me, I get them to trust me. I build that trust to where I can share things and then get them to start thinking differently. It's a game changer, and it's why I do what I do. It's not necessarily for the money. I could work less and still be fine. But just touching those families, changing people's lives, having people come back to me, send me Christmas cards every year, and always sharing my name, and that's really what makes it worth it.
I love it, Josh. Folks, you got to really listen closely, because there was a lot of different words that Josh dove into that will get you wealthy. If you're blue collar, regular wage earner, I'll tell you what, some of my clients they get this kind of education, like from Josh and myself, and next thing you know, they're retire quicker than most other people. They have a bigger portfolio than most other people. He said the word balance sheet, guys, balance sheet. And so when you're looking at your assets minus your liabilities, that's your net worth. And if you work with somebody like Josh and myself, our goal is to create a bigger net worth and more passive income to maybe get you out of the rat race. So guys, really pay attention to our videos. We're going to be doing more and more, and we're going to dive deeper and deeper and start unpacking. And I'm going to get to know Josh a little bit more too, which is so cool, because I didn't know you lived at the Grand. I own a property at the Grand.
Wow. Well, and you grew up in Imperial Beach. I think you had a place there too.
I used to go to Mar Vista Middle.
There we go. Mariners.
There you go. So anything else in closing that you want to share with the audience? Something, I don't know, whatever, or an event you're having, or best way to reach you, of course.
Well, I like that you touched on relationships, what tends to dissolve relationships, and what's lacking in relationships that becomes an impediment, and more so over time, and that's one communication. But the biggest contributor to divorce is financial stress. But that'll kind of come, that is all tied together. So financial stress, if people talked about their finances a lot more, there would be more that you could do. So when I tell people, I'm going to call you if there's any good news, but the only thing I'm going to call you about faster is if there's bad news, because that's going to give us more time to fix things. So talking about things, certainly finances, I just want to encourage people that may not want to talk to you, may not want to talk to me, people that are apprehensive about going through the loan process or pre-qualification process because they're scared to hear no. Just, I want to challenge them, not just encourage. I'm going to challenge you. Call me and let me tell you no, because it's very rare that I can tell somebody no. I don't even know if I've ever told somebody no. It might not be right now, but I'm going to put you on a path. Joe's going to put you on a path so that you can obtain this. And maybe it's not 6 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's a year and a half, but we will put you on the right path. We'll make course correction changes that will get you in a place where you can buy. For a guy that grew up on food stamps and never had anything that they inherited, that didn't have really hardly anything when they bought their first house, to where I'm at right now, that would never happen if I said no to just opportunity. So yeah, that's my challenge to you. Call me and Joe, and let's talk about it.
I love it, Josh. I love it. I mean, I was sharing something with my new plumber recently as well. Because I was talking to him just in small talk. I go, dude, you moved around a lot. And he's like, because we were poor. And I was like, whoa, dude, well, I could kind of relate because I used to get that free lunch.
Oh, that free lunch. Yeah, those tickets. It was nice when you didn't have to have the tickets anymore.
I mean, that's when you know you're hurting. But hey, look at us now. And what we are trying to say is where you are today, you're not a tree. We're going to get you out of being stuck and into financial freedom, financial abundance. Josh's done it. I've done it. Josh, it's always a pleasure hanging out. I mean, really, you're such a solid guy.
Let's do it again.
For sure. Best way to get a hold of you.
Oh, yeah, you can call me. It's my personal cell phone, 619-495-9904. Or you can email me at teamgullick@ccm.com. So that's team Gullick, name's back there, at ccm, like Charlie, Mike.com, cross country.
You're the man.
You are. Appreciate you.
See you guys later.